President Trump says Russia and Ukraine will begin talks aimed at a ceasefire after he spoke on the phone with both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy yesterday.
We have to get that thing solved. 5,000 young people every single week on average. And I've seen satellite pictures. You don't want to see these pictures. We'll have to see what happens. This was not my war. This is not a war that would have happened if I were president. This is not my war. I'm just here to try and help.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more for us from the White House. Good morning, Natalie. So the horrors of this war have been clear for a number of years now, but after these calls, where do things really stand?
Good morning, Errol. Well, President Trump says he believes in his mind that progress was made following this series of calls yesterday, starting with Russian President Putin. And as you alluded to in the opening, he says that Russia and Ukraine will start immediate negotiations. But keep in mind, negotiations have been ongoing, and direct talks between delegations began last Friday. We know from that both sides are supposed to be coming up with a document detailing their vision for a ceasefire on the pathway to eventually ending the war. President Zelenskyy of Ukraine remains very skeptical that Putin wants to end the war, wants peace. President Trump, when asked about this yesterday, said he believes that Putin does want peace ultimately. And he also alluded to Putin wanting large-scale trade with the U.S. and said that that's something that could potentially happen if the war ends. What he calls the catastrophic bloodbath is finally over. And yesterday, the vice president also kind of reiterating that point that the U.S.'s position is that there could be economic benefits if there is a thawing relationship between Russia and the rest of the world, but that would not happen. Those benefits would not happen if Russia continues to kill innocent people. So what remains to be seen is where negotiations go from here. Zelenskyy, in a social media post yesterday, urged the U.S. to continue to stay close to these talks, even as, the White House has signaled their patience is not unlimited. Zelenskyy also saying his position, Ukraine has been ready for a full and unconditional ceasefire, and he's urging the U.S. to put stronger sanctions on Russia if they indicate they are not ready to stop the killings. We know that is something, Errol, that lawmakers over on Capitol Hill are also talking about, sanctions.
Yeah, and one of those major things Russia is resisting. So you wonder, where will the sides agree? Natalie Brand with the latest for us. Thank you for that.